Now we're here going over the 56 Bug, and as you can see, the fender is all nice and straight now. And I've got new old stock Goodyear tires front and rear. There's a couple things I want to mention in this video. One, I had a hell of a time getting the front tire back on, and it turned out that it had a Shinko tire on it. And the Goodyear tire, minus air, went right on and off. The Shinko tire was near impossible. So the aftermarket tires are just not quite the same as originals. They might go down the road, but for a bike like this, I personally want original tires. And the other thing I want to mention, I got in a big argument trying to figure out what everybody recommended, and I was just listening about a tapered shaft. And according to Machinist School 101, according to the boys that posted on a tapered shaft, you're supposed to put them on tri. Well, Harley-Davidson used a keyway on their transmissions at least from 1936 all the way up to past 84, and quite possibly earlier. I've never personally taken a clutch off a VL or a JD, but so for at least 50 years they used a tapered shaft with a keyway. Now, according to Machinist School 101, if it's a perfect fit, you don't need a keyway. Well, Harley-Davidson put a keyway on their tapers and kept it there for a reason. And they're still in use today. This is 2014. The argument was, do you put anything on the tapered shaft or not? Now, this is a little problem that we're going to show you. Obi's going to take this camera. This is put on dry. There's no grease here. And what happens is this little keyway welds itself into the main shaft. So I'm going to take a chisel and see if I can get it to come out. This is what happens when you don't put a little grease on it. And I argued with these boys, and I was, some people did this, some people did that, blah, blah, blah. That should just pop right out. I'm chiseling on the keyway. It's welded itself right in place. And I can't get it out. That's what happens when you don't put grease on your main shaft, guys. Make sure you put a little bit of grease and grease in the hole around your keyway. If you just put a little light grease on it, okay, you can use some anything to prevent it. Anything that, whether it's white grease or axle grease. I use good axle grease, but this is what happens. And everyone I've seen sheared was dry. And I've argued and argued and argued, but I've had over 10,000 motorcycles. And when I have the grease on it, I don't have a problem. So 10,000 plus bikes says maybe I might know a little something. Maybe. So I gotta go take this down to the bolt guy tomorrow and have this cut out because somebody didn't put grease on it. And that wasn't Duncan, that was, I assume, the man I got this bike from. I could be wrong, but somebody put this together with no grease. I told Duncan to leave the clutch alone. So that's because I wanted to do it. So you put this shaft together here with grease, but didn't put no grease on here. So Machinist School 101 for Harley-Davidson's is butt-ass wrong. This is what happens. Here's the proof right there. That should pop right out. The other thing on your clutches, on your 4-speeds, you got to go through them and very carefully grease the inside of these, but not the outside, and clean everything. If you don't, this is a fairly new clutch hub, but it's completely wore out on these shafts here. This is lack of maintenance. Brand new clutch hub. Don't have very many miles on it. It's completely wore out. So you got to go into your clutches at a minimum every 5,000 miles and clean them, re-grease them, repack them, and they don't wear out. I had 100,000 miles on one of my 4-speed clutches because I cleaned it. Try and do that. Anyhow, we'll see you on the next video.